Well, hello, everybody. Are you guys feeling abundant yet? All right. Well, we're hoping that we're giving you some tools to take home. So, what if I were to tell you that everything you needed to live an abundant life was inside of you right now? Yeah? That you've actually had it with you your entire life. Some people would say, yeah, I heard a yeah. And some people would say, yeah, right. Which doesn't really surprise me when we define abundance as this. To have abundance is to have more than you need. This definition invokes some pretty interesting feelings, at least it did for me. The concept of having more than you need. So the thought around wanting an abundant life makes you feel a little selfish. Well, I shouldn't have more than I need, right? Maybe a little self-centered. Maybe somebody else should have some more. And this kind of leads to just what our society is telling us. We live in a world where this concept of being a martyr, self-sacrifice, is idealized. It's something to strive for. And what's sad about that is this concept of being a martyr has actually shifted into who's the biggest victim. And the biggest victims are taught, hey, if I've suffered more than you, I should have more than you. And sadly, what we're doing is we are robbing ourselves and our kids and our future generations of their abundance with that mindset. So what I want to do with you guys today is I want to invite you to go on a journey with me. I want you to come on a journey to meet a girl that I once knew who's only different than the rest of us because she chooses to see the world a little differently. So I want you to go with me to meet Mindy. She's a 7-year-old girl, kind of awkwardly tall, brown hair, green eyes, and at this very moment, she's on her way home from school and she's riding on the bus. She's the last kid off the bus every single day, and so she has a pretty long bus ride. And the truth be told, she's actually grateful for that long bus ride because she's terrified of what could potentially be waiting for her at home. There's this familiar daily sense of dread and anxiety that fills her. And so as she's sitting on the bus, she's kind of just absorbing the world around her. She's staring at the trees out her window. And it gets worse when the bus turns onto a gravel road, because that's her road. And she can't tell if this feeling of wanting to fall off the front of her seat is the vibration from the gravel underneath the tires of the bus or the anxiety that's got her so scared. So she sits there and she focuses on the trees and the forest around her home. The green that she has learned to love so much because the woods have become her sanctuary. A color green that she believes God has made that color just for her. She's never seen that color green anywhere else. The bus makes a turn around a 90-degree corner, and Mindy's heart sinks because she sees a powder blue trailer, which is her home, and in that driveway is an ordinary white work van. The problem is, when that van is in that driveway, her life has pretty much been flipped upside down. The person who owns that van is somebody that Mindy loves more than anything in this world. And the person who owns that van loves Mindy more than words can express. You see, her father has demons, and he has pain, and he has suffering, and his coping mechanism is drinking way too much beer. So when her father gets home from work too early, he's usually drunk. And that's not good for anybody. So as the bus comes to a stop, she musters up the courage to get up and step off that bus. And as the gravel crunches under her feet, it's absolutely deafening. And all she wants to do is turn around to that bus driver and beg that bus driver to save her. Beg. And the only thing that keeps her from doing it is the fear that she's going to be taken away from a family she loves so much. So instead, she swallows her plea. And she puts one foot in front of the other. She walks towards her trailer, wondering if today is going to be the day that her mother, her brother, or her could die. We're going to fast forward a little bit. Mindy's a little older. It's a cold winter's night, freshly fallen snow. And we find Mindy and her mother and her brother outside in the middle of the woods with nothing but a trash bag. All Mindy can really hear at this moment is her mother sobbing from her fear, and her brother's shaky breath. And she's sandwiched in between them because she's the youngest and they're trying to take care of her. And she can feel their terror because they're hiding from another one of their father's drunken rages. And oddly enough, Mindy's calm. She feels the biting cold, but what she notices more than anything is the night sky. No clouds, stars are dancing overhead. And she drifts asleep between her mother and her brother, covered in only a trash bag, knowing that the world is much bigger than that moment. We're going to jump forward quite a bit. Mindy's now the ripe old age of 15. It's a joke. You should laugh. Because at the ripe old age of 15, sadly, Mindy has survived the torture of her home, the divorce of her parents, the legal system, a mental health hospital, the diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder, the introduction of an unloving stepfather, and being raped twice. She's no longer speaking to her father. Her mother believes her to be a troublemaker, and the school guidance counselor is telling her she'll be lucky to graduate high school. So I ask you, what do you think will become of Mindy? Teen pregnancy? Drug addicted? Suicide? Depressed and medicated? Those are kind of the statistical odds, right? Well, if you guys haven't figured it out, I am Mindy. Mindy was a childhood nickname. I go by Maddie now. And it's interesting. You guys are probably wondering, how did this miraculous transition happen? And so I've thought about this, and there was this one moment, and it was after one of these miraculous bus rides, that I got off the bus, and that white work van was in the driveway. And I walked in the house. I was 14 years old, and I had the hardest conversation I've ever had in my entire life. I sat my mom down, and I told her, you can die here, and you can die like this, but I won't. And I didn't know where I was going to go, and I didn't know what I was going to do, and I didn't know where I was going to live, but by golly, it was going to be on my terms. And I was going to figure it out, but it wasn't going to be that. And you know what? It worked. My mom left. I got what I wanted. Case closed, right? Should be easy now. Oh, hell no. It got so much worse. That's when the PTSD kicked in, the nightmares, the blackouts, everything that I thought my world came crashing down. Because even though my life sucked, it was still a foundation and I understood it. When I went out into the world, something different, I didn't know what was going to happen. And my life fell apart. So the cool thing was, over the next few years, I had to make that decision over and over again. I don't know, you can do this, you can do it that way, you can choose this for you, but it doesn't work for me. And over a few years, it actually led to me living in my beloved Disco Biscuit. Did anybody have a Disco Biscuit? Because I loved my Disco Biscuit. I wish I still had it. So I was about 17 years old when I made the decision to move into my car, because the life everybody else was planning for me wasn't working. And so I said, okay, I'm done. Disco Biscuit, here I come. So I decided to be homeless and live out of my car. And that was the first time in my entire life that I felt free, that I felt abundant, because it was on my terms. And I loved it. And that started a course that actually led to the Andry Chateau, which is the house that we joke about now that I live in with my husband and our 5 kids, because the 5 kids don't fit in the Disco Biscuit. We could try, but I don't think it's going to work. So as I started thinking about, like, why have I attracted so much abundance? How did this work for me? How did I go from there to here? And so I thought about my life experiences. I thought about my work and helping people work through trauma and what I've figured out. And there became 2 things that were blaringly obvious to me. Our circumstances create empowerment if we let them. And 2, loving yourself and feeling worthy of love is key. They're necessary. So what do I mean by the circumstances equal empowerment? I'm going to revisit this concept of victimhood again. Look at Mindy's perspective. That bus ride happened 180 days a year for 9 years. That hiding in the snow was one night of many. And I didn't even go into the stories where hiding wasn't an option, and it ended pretty badly. And I thought I might be dying, or I thought my mom was going to die. There were nights where I held my mom covered in blood and I didn't even know where it was coming from. So I want to ask you, how many of you guys would think that Mindy is a victim? That I was a victim because of my childhood? Anybody? So I'm going to challenge that for a minute, because haven't we all had something bad happen to us? Every single one of us, we've lost people that we love. Something bad happens to all of us. That's just an event. It doesn't make us a victim. What I got from these experiences, I've never, ever felt like a victim, not once in my life. What I got from them is it taught me what I'm made of, what I can go out into the world and do, the strength that's within me. It was just an event. So I want to ask you, what's some narrative that you may have that was put there, maybe by a parent or a grandparent or an institution or a teacher, somebody who meant well, that you've just blindly adopted? I'll give you a great example. When I was a kid, I was the youngest and I was the only girl. And I was told pretty much that my only purpose in life was to grow up, get married, have babies. Nobody ever said anything about going to college. Nobody ever empowered me to go out and make a difference. Nobody ever taught me that there was the ability for me as a woman to go out and empower people to change the world. So I've questioned that narrative. So has there ever been a message that was put there in your life that you just haven't questioned? And if so, I want you to ask yourself, is it serving you? Is it allowing you to live the type of life you want to live? Is it letting you fulfill your dreams? And if it's not, ask yourself why and what do I want? How many people in here have ever had somebody ask you, what do you want? And you didn't know how to answer that. It's because we don't think about it. And that's really sad. So that leads me to my next thing, and this is my favorite thing. Becoming your own biggest fan. I love this one. Love it. I actually get made fun of for this, believe it or not. There'll be moments during the day that I'm just walking around the house and I'm like, I'm awesome. The worst part's when there's somebody there to hear it and they're like, what? And I'm like, yep, I'm awesome. So I want you guys to take a moment and look at somebody that you know, that you came with tonight, and tell them how wonderful they are. You guys are a chatty bunch. I love it. So it's really easy. It's really easy for us to tell the people in our lives how much they mean to us, how they make our lives better, right? So now I want you to do this with me, and I want you to do it out loud. I want you to repeat after me. I'm awesome.
I'm awesome.
I'm wonderful.
I'm wonderful.
I'm lovable.
I'm lovable.
I'm worthy. I'm enough.
I'm enough.
And I am abundant.
I'm abundant.
Yeah, woo! Exactly right. So, you guys seem like a pretty happy, positive group, but for a lot of people, that's awkward. Saying those statements is awkward. Because again, I get made fun of when I say, I'm awesome. Because then people are like, whoa, that girl be arrogant. And really what it is for me, I never had a cheerleader. I never had anybody who picked me up and said, you can do whatever you want to do. So I learned how to do it for myself. And that was the best flipping gift my childhood ever gave me. Because I watch people on a daily basis struggle to believe in themselves. And I don't ever question myself. So I want you guys to have that gift of knowing you are enough, you are worthy, and living an abundant life is your birthright. So take it. So your goal should be to learn to like and love yourself. And if you don't, ask yourself, I'm going to ask you, don't answer this one out loud. Do you love yourself? And some of you will say yes. And thank you. Thank you for taking the time to learn to love yourself. Some of you will say, yeah, but you'll have conditions. Maybe if I was a little thinner. Maybe if I had this job. Maybe if I was a better parent. Maybe if I was a better spouse. Some of you guys, it's a flat out no. What I want you guys to do is to learn to love yourself, because when you learn to love yourself, then you feel worthy of love. And when you feel worthy of love, you feel worthy of receiving love. And you begin to realize there are gifts around you every single day that pass you by. And when you slow down enough to say, I'm worthy and I will receive it, you have abundance already around you in every single moment. So your homework is to go home 5 minutes of every single day and write down something you like and love about yourself, something that you did well. I don't care what it was. Maybe you were a great coworker. Maybe you finished your job early. Maybe you were a great spouse or great parent. I don't care what it is, because I can guarantee you this. You went out somewhere today and you made somebody's life better for just being you. And so I'm standing here to tell you, thank you. Now thank yourself and learn to love yourself. Because if you can do that and you can truly love yourself, you can love people better. You'll be a better parent. You'll be a better spouse. You'll be a better employee or boss. And you'll get to go out and model this concept of abundance to everybody. So we started with the definition. And I want to end with a definition. There's this concept of abundance. And abundance, everybody thinks it's about acquiring or attaining. I have the Andry Chateau. That doesn't make me abundant. What makes me abundant is me. What makes you abundant is you and what you have to offer. So what I would like to do is shift this concept, this definition of abundance, that it is having more than you need, or it's about acquiring something. And I want you guys to go out of here knowing that this concept of abundance is a state of being. It's a state of existence. And it is simply this: the ability to enjoy your life. Thank you so much.